This is the Art Bootcamp Insider Training series. Let's learn what one style of brush was designed to do. Here's a monochromatic underdrawing, or underpainting, basically carried out with one style of brush. Using this style of brush, and the way it was designed, allowed me to easily go from start to finish in just 15 minutes of actual painting time. You heard me right, 15 minutes, and no faking it. Here are the brushes, 2 short bristle brights, and 1 synthetic flat. Doesn't get less complicated than that. We speeded up the camera to compress 15 minutes into 5. I promise not to talk like Alvin the Chipmunk. So let's mix a little transparent French red ochre and a spot of raw sienna. Adding a bit of turpentine, you cannot use substitutes. They just don't generate oxygen as turps does. This thin mix is called an imprimatura. Many technical art terms are either in Italian or French. Learn them and sound cool. Here's my expensive Escoda brush, which is not any better than a cheap house painting brush. It makes streaky washes. My preference is for streaky imprimatura. That streakiness adds life to untouched areas. So now, painting at super speed, I apply the imprimatura over a quick drawing made with a gray Pentel brush marker. This drawing was made a bit bold so the camera could see it. Now we have to wait for about 10 minutes or so until the turpentine has evaporated, leaving the paint film so it can be rubbed away with your finger. Here I'm using a dry, bright brush in the manner for which it was designed, scrubbing. With these stubby bristles, you can either scrub paint away or scrub dark paint on. During the Baroque era, they used similar short bristle brushes for scrubbing in shadows, and that makes for lively shadows. Brights won't work very well with your lighter colors because those colors need to be applied opaquely. As you will see, this approach is somewhat like highlighting a drawing on colored paper with white chalk. But in this case, we apply the darks after the highlights are rendered. You'll see why in a few minutes. It's pretty smart. Oh, I almost forgot. It's important to wipe the brush frequently so you can lift paint with it rather than smudge. This dry scrubbing does most of the rendering, but when I really have to cut through the imprimatura and make bright highlights, the brush must be dampened with turpentine. A little bit is all that's needed. Although not shown in this demonstration, if I need to introduce small, sharp-edged details, there's nothing like a fine sable round with turpentine to bring those details to the surface. With a bit of turpentine on a rag, I wipe out a large area. All of this is controllable, but let's stop here and give the paint 10 minutes to rest before applying the darks. We're back. After 10 minutes of resting, the paint surface can withstand paint being applied. You could mix the dark colors with terpenoid, Gamsol, Grumtine, and all those expensive names for simple odorless mineral spirits. OMS has a weaker solvent action and won't disturb the not fully dry imprimatura. My choice for dark paint was burnt umber, and my choice for the brush was synthetic, the Ivory Flat from Rosemary & Company. The ivory has a degree of snap and sensitivity I find superior to most other flat, natural or synthetic. That's important because this discussion is, after all, from a book about brushes. We'll start laying in the darks. This part goes very quickly. One of the problems artists encounter with starting a painting with the darks is called false accents. And these are those subtle things you can't put your finger on, yet painting just isn't unified and coming together. That won't happen when you begin with the middle tone and rub out to the highlight. Then you realize that you need far fewer dark accents, and that's what unifies the painting. Once you sharpen your eyes to spot this, you'll be able to start with the darks with a little fear of applying false accent. See how fast this comes together? My razor-sharp flat brush can lay in a fine, sharp detail and turn around and soften it when needed. So there it is, a demonstration of just one of the numerous brush shapes discussed in the book. The book addresses what you need to know as an artist, how to choose a good brush, and how to avoid the not-so-good ones, how to use the different shapes, and how to care for your expensive brushes. Did you know a popular type of canvas will ruin your brushes in an hour or two? It's all in the book. Brush book has some weird tips like how to restore splayed out synthetic brushes This trick in the world. It's weird, but it works. The Brushes book is guaranteed to help. It's also a quick download, and with the introductory price of only $7.97, it's got to be the buy of the year. Just remember, this is an introductory offer, so scoot over to artbootcamp.com/brushes and get your copy while it's still at this price.